What's up, guys? I'm Jason, this is Freeburg Garage, and welcome back to another episode of the FXRT Build coming slowly together. We are mounting the S&S Carb today. We got a couple bits and pieces. We got to talk about intake gaskets that make this S&S Carb work with this Evolution motor. So let's dive on the bench. Let's get it done. All right, getting this carb ready for install. A couple pieces that I want to note when I had to get this whole deal mocked up and ready for the bike. Every time I thought I had everything cleared up, I was actually roadblocked by something else with the year, the intake, or something that didn't come with the carb that I originally thought was a fantastic deal, but then realized there's other pieces. So first, there's our S&S carb right there, cleaned up, beautiful, ready to go and get installed. Here is the old carb I have. This is my Klein Early Butterfly with the intake and everything still intact. It works, you can use it, there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't perform as well as an S&S or any other carb beyond that for CV as far as Harley goes. So you have those, and as well as we want to match it up with an intake. Don't want to do all this work without having a matched up intake. A lot more air can get through this one than the old restricted one we got there. All right. So those are the differences of the bodies and the intakes. The other part that I did not notice, but thankfully was on my S&S carb when I bought it, came off a shovel head, which had the smaller throttle cables. FXRs had those all the way up until 91. They switched to the bigger throttle cables, and that's where my other FXR has, but luckily this one, in the year that I have, has the smaller one. So you have to get this new adapter plate here for your throttle cables, particularly for S&S. You can't just take your old plate off your carb here and switch it to your S&S because it obviously won't fit. It's two different designs. So there's that, you gotta make sure. The other part that I did not notice when I bought this was the intake mounting plates. They are particular. I read a bunch about trying to use Harley because the price difference is quite a bit. You can kind of go from a $20, maybe a $10 intake mounting all the way up to a $70 one for S&S, or actually, I'm sorry, $90. So if you can get those with the carb you're buying, very important. And if you try to slide by and use Harley gaskets to just try to cheap out because they're like a dime a dozen, you'll be sadly mistaken because the S&S ones are thinner. And everyone says as soon as you start tightening down the ones against the other, Harley style, you'll actually start to split the intake gaskets. So you want to make sure you got that. I got a couple other gaskets that didn't have on here. These were a couple bucks from Dennis Kirk that goes with our mounting plate on the back here. So we got new gaskets to go with this. Very important to have that as well. That butts up obviously between your intake and your carb going on. Now they do make plates, so if you want to keep your old intake and use your S&S carb, then you could get a thickness of whatever you're looking for, mounting piece to be able to get this carb on your bike. But doing it the right way, getting everything S&S so it all flows together is where you want to really be at. So there's that. The other part that really skewed me on getting this mounted, and I was super pumped about getting this carb, was this damn back plate right here. This is what it came off of. This is the shovel head one, right? Well, I thought I was in the clear, but realized this is missing some pieces, and that's the ears on this. So I had to track down, of course, a proper mounting S&S plate that matches the bottom breather Evos, because one, shovels didn't have the ears, of course, so you have that, and they have a different mounting system. They look exactly the same. Numbers will indicate it, and if you don't know S&S numbers, which I didn't when I was doing this, I just thought it was all the same. This is like a 330, and then they go up to a 380 right there. And the particular ears back here are meant for the bottom breather ones to go to the smaller bolt sizes up in the heads. Then of course in 93, when they switched over to a head breather, then you have the standard plate that's on all S&S essentially. So you have to get these like separately, and they're hassle to get because they just don't make them anymore. So buying them secondhand will save you a lot of money if you're trying to do that. So those are very important, especially in the early 80s and then all the way up to at least year 92 for a lot of this stuff. You got to make sure you have the right parts because you can have a really good deal on S&S carb, but this stuff will come and bite you in the ass as far as trying to get that price down. I kind of did for myself, but I was able to get everything pieced together, slowly waited around and waited for the right parts to come up, and got it for a great deal, and we're pretty much set. So we got all that situated. We got some old boots we're not even going to be using anymore off the old carb there. So what we're gonna do now is get this carb just factory tuned, which is just getting the right measurements that they say from S&S where you wanna be at, and then we're good to get this on the bike. So let's get this done. All right, starting off with our backing plate, and it's pretty much been cleaned up, wiped down, sprayed down, got all the dust out of there. It doesn't need to be really polished because it's gonna be hidden. The only part that's gonna be really seen is this lever here for the enricher. And what we need to do is we're gonna get this lever a little more greased up so that it slides better. I think it does okay, but I wanna have a nice smooth action on there, and to get that apart right now, and it's pretty simple. Just got a bolt here, get rid of that there. And we'll put that one aside. And pull this off here. Okay. And then our lever. Got that with our other nylon, plastic, and metal shim there. Okay, keep that there. And then we got our flat washer that's been smashed up against the plate as well. Okay, well, simple there. And we'll give that a slight wipe down here. Okay, good there. All right, so put this all back together real quick. Washer goes back on just to show how that would come apart. And then we're going to use a little assembly lube. Make sure that we can get this washer to slide up against the slide nice and easy. Now there's already a plastic one there, but I just want to have nice smooth action. Put that there on this side here. We'll wipe this down once we get all finished with it as well. Slide that back on there. And we'll get this put back on like so. Okay, then we're gonna get our copper washer set up. Okay, we're gonna clean this up here. There we go. Clean as it needs to be. We'll throw a little liquid on there as well. Nice and lubed up. Place that back on the plate. Just like that. Screw. And they just stop. So nice and locked down. Now it moves super easy, nice and smooth. That's what I want. All right, the other spots that we need to look at here is this was capped off here for the bottom breather. This is set up for a bottom breather. Sony either removed the tube, didn't want it to be shown, or they just capped it off for that sake. So let's get this off of here. Move that, and we will put our new fitting on here. Throw this on. We'll kind of work with this as well. Get our area a little tight, but that should be good right there. Kind of get that hose nice connected to here. So it'll dump into the air cleaner, no great way, or you can have it just dump below. There's not that much that comes out of a bottom breather, in my opinion, so we'll just see how it handles. If not, we'll cap it back off in the future. All right, so I have this other hole. It doesn't really need to be capped, but since I have this old backing from the shovel head, we're gonna remove this and actually just pretty this up here. Cool. All right, our new back plate is all set. Wipe this down a little bit more and we'll be good for installation. All right. All All right, setting up the carb. Want to make sure that we have the factory settings by S&S set up here. And you got 3 we got to go by, which is the idle air mixture, your idle screw, and your accelerator pump screw is what they call it here on this other side. So we got your 3 points that we have to look at. 1, 2, and 3. Each one has their own one here. And starting off with the idle air mixture screw, they want this at 1.25 inch turn from lightly seated, which I do have right now, about lightly seated there. Don't want to reef on that. We're just going to turn that in 1.25 off. So let's see here. We got, there's 1, and then we'll go up to right there, 1/4, so that's good there. And then we have our idle adjustment screw here, and they want you to have that 1/2 clockwise from the engagement point. So let's look down here on the side. We're staring at down in there. From the engagement, I have it way too tight in here, so we're going to loosen that up. Okay, make sure that we got, yep, so a little more in. So once we hit that metal, there we go, right there, before it starts pushing. Idle there, nice and tucked in. We got to go 1/2 clockwise from the engagement point. So, okay, 1/2 right there. All right, simple enough. And then now we need to go to our pump. Our accelerator pump is what they consider it. Sounds weird, but that's their screw type that they want to refer to here. And that's going to be 2 turns counterclockwise from seated. So we probably already have it too much into it there. So we're going to back that off a little bit. See, oh, I guess it didn't. So that is good. So we have it as, see here, yep, 2 turns counterclockwise from seated. So, well, let me do that one more time there. Seated, and then we're gonna go 1, 2. All right, that's it. It's the beauty of S&S. That's the stock settings for the carb until we get the bike running, and then there's another set of getting this set up. That's the beauty part. Once again, with S&S, just making things real simple to get set up. So we got that going, and then we have our intake here. I didn't go over this. This is an intake 3, 6, 7. These are very particular into what carb and what Evo, or what I should say Harley motor you have, to make sure it matches, because this S&S carb goes for all the motors that are carbureted. You just have to match up the intake to go with it, and of course your jets to make sure you're at the right size, which I did check. We are good to go there, and we are going to be set to get this rolling on the bike. All right, so that's pretty much it for right now. Let's hop on the bike and get this thing taken care of. All right, so in order to get this intake installed, we have to finagle the flanges first onto the heads, and then we're going to slide the whole assembly together. So they have it cut away like this, and they've been marked front and rear. So we got our fronts right here, and we're going to start one of the bolts here. Just enough like that, or sorry, there we go. Just like that. Okay, same for the other side. Okay, and then we can just slide our whole assembly in now. We're gonna throw the carb on now. Gasket, spacer, good to go. Alright, carb is mounted for the most part. We just gotta get our back plate. We get the valve system on, so we get our hose hooked up here. Alright, so we just gotta get our back plate on. I have made up some spacers right here. to fit between the back plate and the head. And I have my new gasket as well, ready to go. So let's see if we can get this finagled on. For now, I have to get some spacers that just clean up this messy washer that I have back here, and get a gas tank on here and get this timing done, and she'll be ready to fire up. Pretty stoked on how it's all rolling through. But for now, guys, that about wraps for me in this one. I would greatly appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press that notification, leave a comment below and tell what you think. But for those who have already subscribed, thank you, and as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.